If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed, lab-proven to work fast, and proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Kulturecast. I'm Chris Stachiw and I'm joined by two friends of mine, one who you have never heard on this show before, the other who you have heard so many times. It is always a pleasure to be joined by my good friend, the host of the Projection Booth podcast, and Fritz the Cat enthusiast, Mr. Mike White.
Too many times, perhaps?
No, it'll never be too many. And then when we're done, it will have been one time not enough. See, look at that. And we're also joined by a friend of mine. The first time him and I podcasted together, we were talking about Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, all of them with Mike on the Projection Booth, film critic, former employee of Alamo Drafthouse, Joshua Stewart.
Hi, everybody. That might have just changed today. We'll see. May no longer be former. I may just be leaving town. Which, that'll be wonderful.
Well, if any of my listeners know anything about my relationship with the Alamo Drafthouse, it's a current. You're not current, you're former, and even if you were current, it would still be former. So,
yes.
But we'll leave it at that.
Either
Alamo
way,
Drafthouse and I have a very tenuous relationship.
I will simply say it's a franchise location, so they don't count.
There you go, right? There you go. But, so Josh is joining us to kick off Jess Byard June with a look at the first Ralph Bakshi film of the month, a film that I had never seen, and, you know, there was an hour and a half ago where we could go back to then, but we can't anymore. We're going to be talking about the 1972 unrated NC-17 X-rated film, Fritz the Cat.
What a mob in the park today.
I worked the Head Start for free last summer. Black kids are so much groovier.
I ain't no jive-ass black nigger, honey.
Lovely set of eyes there. 4 in a bed. That's a kick I haven't tried yet. Okay, Winston. Here come the truth. keeps the bosses in power?
Would you like to see a picture of my kids?
Fritz the Cat. He's coming your way at this cinema.
So Fritz the Cat is directed by Ralph Bakshi, written by Ralph Bakshi, based on the characters by R. Crumb, noted hater of women, R. Crumb. The film stars Skip Hinnant as the titular Fritz the Cat, who is a roustabout going and fucking and drinking and smoking and bugging out. And yep, it's a movie that exists, and we're going to have to talk about it because that's the predicament that I got us into on this episode. So on that note, Josh, when was the first time you saw Fritz the Cat? And if this was your first time, I'm sorry. If it wasn't, I'm equally as sorry.
It was not the first time, and I don't mind it so much. It certainly has a place in history. I think I saw it back when I was in high school, which that's when, for me that would have been probably about 2004 or so, when it was still kind of a fabled thing that, you hear about this movie that was X-rated and animated, as it said on the all the taglines, almost as good as Sweetback's rated X by an all-white jury, but not quite as classic. And it was a movie that I remember my dad picked up at Half Price Books because, he was like 20 when the movie came out, and he, had a soft spot for it, and I snuck it off the shelf one day and watched it, and I was like, God damn. I feel like I it made me feel out of time in a very strange way. So revisiting it this time with, the lens of history looking back at it, I found it a lot more interesting than I did the first time. I think the first time I was kind of lost on it. So
what about you?
I do have a better appreciation.
Well, that's good. See, we'll get to where I'm coming from because I can't speak in a historical way. So, but I know Mr. White mentioned it. You mentioned it on the last episode that you were on, actually. Your little story. So I tell the listeners about your experience with one Fritz the Cat.
Well, I tried to see this film when I was very young, and yeah, my parents were going to the drive-in theater when I was. I mean, if I was 2 years old, I would be surprised, but I was basically asleep in the back seat, as a 2-year-old is, and the drive-in theater wouldn't let them in because they had a minor in the car. So, good times. But I did finally catch up with the film when I was probably about 20 years old, maybe. They were doing, they did tons of screenings on my college campus, so I finally went to see it. And I definitely had the film built up much more than the expectations could ever live up to. So when I rewatched it for the show, my expectations were properly tempered, but I forgot Bakshi's stuff is just messy. It's just real messy. Not the animation style necessarily, but just like the narrative gets really messy. There's some interesting parts to it, especially the kind of like man on the street type of things where it sounds like he just was recording things that were happening. Maybe that's the case, maybe not. And then animating to that. But the actual narrative itself, yeah, it was something. I don't want to throw around the P word. I don't want to say it's problematic because in 1972 this wasn't as problematic. But man, there's just some things in here where I'm just like, I'm very uncomfortable watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was especially uncomfortable.
If you're a maintenance supervisor at a manufacturing facility and your machinery isn't working right, Grainger knows you need to understand what's wrong as soon as possible. So when a conveyor motor falters, Grainger offers diagnostic tools like calibration kits and multimeters to help you identify and fix the problem. With Grainger, you can be confident you have everything you need to keep your facility running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
If you've been thinking about getting serious with your money, like actually serious, now's the time. The Motley Fool is offering new members 50% off their iconic stock recommendation service, Stock Advisor. This is the same service that's crushed the market with recommendations that have returned 1,057% since inception, compared to the S&P 500's 180% over that same period. This isn't guesswork. The Motley Fool has a track record of finding companies before they become household names. So if you want to invest smarter and you like saving money while doing it, go to Fool.com/listen to claim your 50% off discount off a 1-year term of Stock Advisor. Again, that's Fool.com/listen. Returns of 1,057% are from the Motley Fool's product Stock Advisor and measured against S&P 500 returns of 180% as of July 10th, 2025. Past performance is not an indicator of future results. All investing involves a risk of loss. Individual investment results may vary.
Comfortable hearing Skip Hinnant after he was just Sonny the Easter Bunny on one of our Rankin and Bass episodes, and here he is voicing this filthy cat.
Yeah, it was wild looking back and realizing that he had this one infamous role, and everything else he did was pretty much children's entertainment. Dude was on the Electric Company and stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. So look, I'd never seen this before. This was a suggestion by Jess. I would say for a lot of people, if you've heard of Ralph Bakshi, it's probably this or Lord of the Rings. We're not watching Lord of the Rings this month, so this is the kind of... I don't know. Am I off base here? This is the Bakshi movie, right? Like...
Most people, well, there's a generation of people that would know him for his work on Mighty Mouse, especially when he got into trouble because of Mighty Mouse sniffing a flower, and it looked like he was sniffing coke, and it caused this huge controversy, and he ended up getting kicked off of television. That was probably the late 80s, maybe. And then also he had Cool World, which was like his last hurrah. But yeah, I mean, he was a major force in the 70s. So him doing stuff like Lord of the Rings wasn't too outrageous. But yeah, I would say Fritz definitely helped kick it off. So yeah, he made a splash with this, let's say.
Yeah, and so I had no prior experience to this. Look, I love animation. I like animation, not just Western, but also Eastern. I'm not super big into anime, but it's something that I'm growing more accustomed to the more I watch it. This is very Western animation in a number of ways. But it's supposed to be kind of this send up of the 70s and the 60s, obviously. And obviously they kind of play it into the 70s. But, it all just rings very hollow in 2021. And it what it really does is, outside of the fact that they're not wearing masks, half of the stuff they talk about in this movie is still going on. So it's also hard not to just be like hyper cynical when you watch this movie. And you're just like, man, society hasn't changed in like 50 years anyways. So what does any of this matter? But, that the cynicism around this film notwithstanding, I kind of let it out of the bag early on that I wasn't the biggest fan of this movie. And I'm not, but at the same time, it's not much of a movie. To your point, Mike, it's kind of a bunch of like scenarios strung together with man on the street bits. And Bakshi did go to bars in Harlem and get drunk with the patrons and record them. He got drunk with steel workers in the beginning. I mean, that's just him, like you said, Mike, literally just putting a microphone in between people as they're talking. And that stuff works the best out of anything in this movie because it actually feels real, not fabricated. You cannot be satirical and poke fun at things and then just be hyper successful like Ralph Bakshi was anyways. Like, you're going to criticize all these things, but then you just do it anyways? Like, did I miss something here? Or did all of the criticism and kind of the biting social commentary of the 70s all of a sudden become very toothless the later it gets?
Well, it definitely feels, this is 72 when this comes out. And it has that cynicism of the late 60s, early 70s. Like, this is when we're seeing that, the dreams of the flower children were just that. They were just dreams.
The love generation was sort of going by the wayside.
Exactly. And this is that so much encapsulated. I mean, the idea of the terrorists that are towards the end, the race relations that are just horrific, the relationships with the cops, but especially, that first orgy that they have where it's just like these college girls are completely vapid and we're just going to say and do anything to get in their pants. And basically, I think that's him saying, like, that's the way it always was, is just we were always doing and saying anything we could to get laid.
Yeah, and then you string an entire movie around that? Well, that's what I don't understand. Like, that's a funny idea. And, like, that scenario at the beginning is probably the best part of this movie, is when you get to see them interacting with the white college girls, interacting with the African-American college student, or I guess African-American character. And then he's like, nah, fuck you guys. Like, I'm not even like that. And then he walks off, and then Fritz the Cat, slides himself into the situation and kind of starts giving them the same bullshit that they were trying to give to him. And that's funny. And then there's another hour of this movie. I mean, that's the problem. It's like, it's funny. It taken out of context, parts are good. Together as a quote-unquote narrative, there is no narrative.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting just in that, especially at the time, I don't think there was a lot of media that followed a character that was such an open, absolute, reprehensible pile of garbage. Like, everything he does is pretty much self-centered, and it hurts almost everybody he comes across. It's almost like the antithesis, like, not necessarily saying that it's a great movie, because it has its problems, but he's almost like the anti-Forrest Gump. He shows up in all these, situations, particularly involving civil unrest, and all his actions do is make everybody's lives worse.
Right. Yeah, he's the fire for the gasoline.
Yeah, he happens to show up at the worst possible time and do the worst possible thing, and then just walk away from it. And learn absolutely nothing. I thought that by the end of it, the ending scene actually made me think back to, like, the ending scene of the movie version of A Clockwork Orange, in the way that, at least the movie of A Clockwork Orange, it seems like Alex has learned absolutely nothing, and he gets to keep on doing exactly what he wanted to do. And this movie has almost the identical ending, where he's in the hospital, he's laid up, he could become a better person, but oh no, let's just go back to the orgy from the first scene.
Exactly.
As much as I would like to give Bakshi credit for being so on the nose and clever, it felt more like to me he didn't know how to end the movie, so he threw more sex at the screen.
That might be true.
There is part of me with this movie that is very cynical about the movie's usage of nudity, because it feels like it just wants to have an X rating. It didn't need to have an X rating, and the X rating exists because, like, the movie's not really that offensive. I know Ralph Bakshi in recent years has said, The Simpsons just does worse stuff than we did. I don't know if that's entirely true. The Simpsons never shows Marge's boobies, and if it did, we would all know.
The Simpsons movie got a PG-13 and showed Bart's penis, though. That was weird.
that was weird. But the sexuality and the sex in this movie is, it feels, again, there's a reason it's released by a exploitation distributor, because this movie is very exploitative. And look, there's nothing wrong with that, because everybody loves a good exploitation movie. But normally exploitation movies actually have something going on during the movie. They don't just have a character wandering from scene to scene, just going.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello, this is Aaron West. I am the author of the A24 New Wave. In this book, I look at A24's output and I make the argument that we are in a new wave movement right now. A24 plays a major role. This book has a supplemental podcast where each episode is a brief conversation about an A24-related topic, whether an actor, director, or even a genre. As I continue research for the book and conduct interviews, I expect to record podcast episodes with people involved with the company. You can find the podcast at cinejourneys.com or wherever you find podcasts, and we are proud to be members of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Isn't all of this strange, how terrible the world is?
Mm-hmm. And see, that's the thing, is I know that I've seen movies that very much fit that outline as well, and I can't think of any of them right now. where the character, he's pretty much just a vagrant and an emotional vampire.
It reminds me a little bit of After Hours.
Yeah, something like that.
It's a little bit After Hours, again, it's kind of if you call this movie After Hours-ish, After Hours is doing the same things that this movie is in the 80s, with the 80s culture. It's taking the piss out of it.
Yeah.
Again, that's done by Scorsese, not Ralph Bakshi, so...
To me, the most interesting thing isn't... the nudity and the sexuality and stuff is one thing, but for a movie from 1972, we're only 2 years removed from MASH being the first mainstream movie to use the F word, and, the actual language in this movie is quite a bit more extreme than most movies that, push the ratings at that time. I think that was what surprised me most this time, is realizing that in 72, nobody really spoken with that level of vulgarity in a lot of movies, and that took over the sex for me more than anything.
It reminded me of John Allison's Joe, where it was Peter Boyle just being really kind of a rotten guy, and his trip through the underworld of the free love 60s, and just seeing how awful he is and how awful it could be. So that's what it reminded me of a little bit. Though there are moments that seem out of character for Fritz, like when he is stripping the black lady, and he just suddenly is just oh, the revolution. And it just feels like all the crap that he was spewing to those white chicks earlier, suddenly he's spewing that. And I was like, I don't think you actually believe anything that you're saying, unless it was all of the drugs that she gave him and that it warped his mind somehow. But it was just or just, hey, this is a way to end this scene that we really don't know how to end.
Yeah, it was... And the Joe comparison's actually kind of perfect, because I've heard stories about how apparently when Joe came out, audiences didn't get the point, and they cheered at the end, and that's chilling to think about. But yeah, that's one of those movies that follows just a completely awful person from start to finish, and pretty much lets him get away with it. And yeah, as far as his weird revelations or whatever, I don't think that there's an intentionally genuine moment for Fritz as a character, and I think that's what makes it so hard to relate to in general, is because you don't have... when you have a character that is this intentionally unlikable, it's hard to really post yourself down to anything, especially when we've had so many years of, considerably more interesting adult animation. The best thing about this movie is that it did so many things before anyone else had the chance. I think that the groundwork it set is probably more fascinating than the piece as a whole.
Yeah, that's kind of I think that's the kind of sad reality about Fritz the Cat is, like you mentioned, it's a good starting point, but rarely in the conversation about where things start do people go, yeah, this is amazing. They're like, this was a good spot for it to start. But it will evolve to the point where you could have a Western non-Disney film nominated for an Oscar. You could. It hasn't happened yet, quote unquote, but it could. A film that tackles serious topics, not just because they're nominating it because they don't know what the fuck to nominate that year, which I think they did with Toy Story 3 one year.
Yeah, which it sounds
about right.
People keep telling me Toy Story 3 is good, and I'm like,
it is.
It's the first two Toy Stories, but with a different ending. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. To y'all's point about the character never having a genuine moment, at the end of the movie, does it feel disingenuous that he quotes a Beatles song?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
It's very strange,
I mean,
right?
That's just him just digging into the zeitgeist, That's how you get him. He knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Apparently, our Crumb was not a fan of that either.
Well, I mean, there's not much that Crumb is a fan of.
It's fair.
He was like, I mean, watching that documentary, the man was like the original hipster. He was too cool for everything before anybody else was.
I like jazz records. 78s. I wish I could do, like, after I watch that doc, I could do a good Crumb impersonation, but it's been way too long.
Yeah, it's been a few years. That's one I can't go back to very often, man.
Yeah. And the guy that plays Crumb in American Splendor, I thought he did a pretty good job.
Oh my god, yes. Considering that, was it, oh god, what's his name?
Giamatti?
No, he was Harvey Pekar.
Okay, right. I can't remember the guy's name, because the only other
James Urbaniak.
Is it?
That's who he is, yeah.
Okay, I've only ever seen him show up in, like, an episode of Law & Order Special Victims Unit where he was putting cameras in underneath the toilet seats. And I'm just like, that's the guy that played Crumb. And I was like, that's very appropriate.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
He was in something I forget what it is. He was in some TV show or something recently.
I know he's one of the Venture Brothers. I think that's one of those shows that everyone loves, and I've never watched it. So.
That's right. He is one of the Venture Brothers as well.
I've made it a few episodes then.
Like,
but,
I feel like I'm missing something there, and I don't know, and I desperately want to understand it.
That's how I feel with this movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely feel very much on the outside. I feel very much like, wow, this was not made for me.
Yeah, the weird thing about Fritz the Cat now, though, that definitely didn't play the same way when I first saw it, like I said, was around 2004 when we were still only talking about 9/11 all the time for some reason, is that the social issues in the movie, especially the race riots, particularly like the Israel situation, like all of that has come back to the forefront.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
In a big way, everybody.
In a way that it almost adds a level of cynicism that the movie couldn't have anticipated, because here we are 50 years later, and we haven't learned a goddamn thing.
Yeah, and that's where, like, my real jolt of cynicism with this movie comes from, is the idea that we are still in this movie 50 years later, in so many ways.
I feel like that almost works for what the movie wants to convey in a sad way.
Right. I would agree. That is a unintentional success of the movie. Is it ends up being a lot more prescient than it, I think, had any idea it was going to be. Which is fine. Sometimes movies just luck into these kinds of scenarios because even they didn't think shit could get this bad.
Yeah. I mean, again, super cynical. What's that announcement on the radio where it's like, Israel will cede Los Angeles and New York to the United States in exchange for weapons or something? And I was like,
something like that.
Okay, yeah.
The movie for its moments of cynicism and satire that works, it's over the top in so many other spots. It's just like too much, too like lack of subtlety, too nail on the head. It's like, come on, you don't have to work this hard to make a joke. You really don't. Like at the synagogue. Like, oh my god, it was just talk about problematic.
And those scenes just don't end. They just go on forever.
Yeah, for a movie that
the race riot scene was a bit much.
Oh, that was
where the character of Duke gets shot. Just end already, please.
Yeah,
but
really.
I'm not gonna that was still effective. Like watching that still made me uncomfortable, and I had totally forgotten about that from the first time I had seen it. Like, that whole scene just was more upsetting than I had anticipated, which I imagine it was supposed to be.
Yeah. But again, there's this lack of subtlety that, again, it does kind of work in its favor. I mean...
Oh, yeah. I mean,
sometimes being blunt does work.
Where the infamy, I think, comes from. And there is, I think, a part of why I'm sure Crumb hates it, is there is that level of Bakshi's personal influence on it. Like, Bakshi is very openly Jewish, and there's a lot of Jewish content in the movie that obviously wasn't in the comics. And, you know, me, I'm a goy from South Texas. I only know what I get through the media. So it almost feels like a doorway into Bakshi's world in a way that, you know, could only have been done in this weird, sick animation that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. But you know what's going on inside that brain, and that fascinates me in a very uncomfortable way.
Yeah, Bakshi, this is my first Bakshi movie I've ever seen, so
they do get better.
I hope so. I really do.
When do they get better?
I haven't seen Heavy Traffic in a long time. I know that was immediately after this, and I remember it being kind of similar, but an improvement. The Dangerously Named Coonskin, I think, also tackled similar racial themes much more successfully, mostly because the cast in it is unbelievable, and they all go for it. But and his work, I mean, pretty much up through Cool World, I think there's Cool World is a massive failure, but everything before it at least has something worth seeing. Like the fantasy stuff, Fire and Ice is just a cool little fantasy movie. I think Wizards has one of the better endings of any movie I've ever seen, and American Pop is just there's not. That's one I need to go back to because I haven't seen it in a very long time. But I remember that one being one of the most mature, actually adult, serious animated movies I've ever seen. Where if it had been filmed live action, it would have felt more or less. And there's a lot of rotoscoping. He loves to rotoscope, but seeing a movie that was that deathly serious in animation was very interesting to me, especially because that was another one I saw very young, right around the time I saw Heavy Metal when they both re-released those on those shiny VHSs. And man, American Pop, that was one that, that's just not made for kids. That's made for music enthusiasts throughout the ages.
Mm-hmm. I was giving you a little bit of a hard time because I do enjoy some of his work.
Oh yeah, but I figured
it's easy to pick on him. Yeah, no, I appreciate you, and I especially appreciate that you liked Coonskin as well because I watched that back when we were doing an episode on Song of the South because they both deal with the Brer Rabbit.
That was actually what spurred it, believe it or not, all those years ago. I remember listening to that episode and then going, "Man, that's one of the Bakshi movies I never saw." So it all comes together.
I love it.
Does it? What? Since we're not watching that film, what makes that film more successful in its? Is it more successful in its commentary than this movie is?
It definitely is, but I'm also a good 8 years removed from watching it, so it's a bit hard to pinpoint. But I definitely remember it just feeling like the work of a much more mature version of the same artist. They were still going for the jugular and ready to get under people's skin and make them kind of look at the world around them in a way that this did a lot more cynically because we're following a piece of garbage.
Right. Yeah, I want to say there are multiple because you've got the Barry White character, who I think is like a Brer Bear type character. There's the Brer Rabbit and the Brer Fox. So you've got the multiple characters that you're following. So it's not just Fritz. And yeah, they're a little bit. Some of them are pretty awful, but they're less of a piece of shit.
Yeah, it's
interesting.
It's just way more successful all around from what I remember.
Yeah.
But I think it was also one of those movies that probably only got to exist because of the infamy of this movie.
So let's talk about the infamy for a moment, because that is something that's been, Josh, you've kind of alluded to it several times. This is the first X-rated animated film, right?
Yeah.
Does that matter?
I don't. Historically, it does, but I don't think it would be if they rated it today.
Right?
I truly don't.
God, no.
And the sequel, which was made 2 years later, was also officially the first R-rated animated movie. So they got to claim both of those titles. But it's not really. The sequel's not really any. We'll get into that too, but it's not really any worse in its or any. I don't know. I'm trying to place. Is the content any better or worse? It's probably about even. I mean, the MPAA, we know how broken that system is in the first place. But yeah, it doesn't make any damn sense. You would think, again, just for the infamy, they would have wanted another X-rated movie. And I feel like they tried to push that envelope pretty hard with the second one. And it's almost like they weren't going to give them that one again because it worked so well for them the first time around in marketing.
Yeah, and let's not, think, oh yeah, this was the first time that a cartoon was ever dirty. I mean, dirty cartoons go back all the way to, the dawn of films and animation.
Right.
It's like watching this documentary about the history of the Blue movie. It's just like, And here's dirty cartoons from all these years ago.
Oh, yeah, I mean, animators are notorious perverts.
Oh, yeah.
Any animator of any mainstream cartoon character has a billion doodles that they would get fired for showing off.
Oh, yeah, 100%. 100%.
How many of them are Fritz the Cat, you think?
No telling.
It's it's interesting that this movie, I mean, look, it's rated X because there is profanity, like you'd mentioned, Josh. At the time, this is a ton of profanity. And there's nudity. But there's no,
there's drug use.
There's drug use.
Yeah, and that was...
That, I mean, weed. Yeah, we know. Terrible, obviously.
Yeah,
well, also heroin.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. But the nudity, it was kind of interesting. The amount of nudity in this film was it was so constant. It was like they wouldn't let you forget that they had and that just feels a little much to me. Like,
hey, we can finally get away with it. Check it out.
Right, exactly. So they're like, here's just tons of cat titties.
I mean, it was equal opportunity. You saw a little bit of everything. You see a dick before you see anything else.
Bugs crashing your pack's party? Whether they've got paws or sneakers, your pack deserves a home that's protected from pests. That's where Wondercide comes in. Plant-powered protection made with steam-distilled natural essential oils that actually work. It kills and repels fleas, ticks, mosquitoes, and ants without questionable ingredients or overpowering smells. Safe to use around kids and pets when used as directed. Lab-proven to work fast. And proudly made in the USA. We offer sprays for pets, people, homes, and yards. Plus, spot-on treatments, collars, and even shampoos. Whatever your pack needs, we've got it covered. Founded by a pet parent looking for a better way to protect her dog Luna, Wondercide's now protected over 21 million lives and counting. You might have even seen us on Shark Tank. Go to Wondercide.com and use code WONDER20 for 20% off your first order. That's WONDER20 at Wondercide.com. Wondercide. Protect your pack with plant-powered Wondercide today.
Hello, this is Chris Haskell from They Live by Film. For those that don't know us, Adam, Zach, and I, we built a podcast over the last 2 years that's a combination of film discussion from 3 very different perspectives, as well as industry interviews with the leaders in boutique Blu-ray and 4K community. We started with Dev Crocodile, but over time we've been lucky enough to speak with Arrow Video, Severin, Mondo Macabro, Vinegar Syndrome, Radiance, Indicator, most of the OCN partner labels. It's been a blast. You can find us wherever you podcast, and also actually recently as part of someone's favorite production podcast network. We hope to see you online.
It's true.
And see,
lots of pig dick.
I think that the thing is that at least the movie sets the bar low with the opening credits, which is essentially played over a urine stream.
Yeah.
So you know that deep down it's just puerile on purpose. So I think that's why I can't be too terribly mad, because it whether there is artistic merit to it or not, it's trying to tell you it's not high art.
Right. And I will say that I think, the movie looks nice. It's obviously well animated. Ralph Bakshi has an eye for making animation pop. The character, I mean, look, I know he didn't design the character of Fritz the Cat, but he animated this character that he didn't create so well that our Crumb said, here's one of my workbooks. Use it as source material. So, I mean, because Josh, you had kind of mentioned before we started recording that it's hard to find Fritz the Cat original cartoons, like written comic strips. But, the stuff that I have seen, limited as it is, he still looks pretly close to the comic, which is good. Yeah. It's very true to the source material. Is it as sly as our Crumb maybe wanted it to be? No.
Yeah, from what I understand, the portrayal of the character, though, is very much where Crumb took umbrage with, probably the reason he hates the movie so much, because other people have more or less said that Fritz was kind of almost his self-insertion character, doing all the debaucherous things he wishes he could do.
Right.
And the movie itself is so open to let it feel at least somewhat critical of his actions. It never displays them positively. And Crumb probably took that as a direct affront on his personality, which is fair because...
A lot of wish fulfillment on his part.
Yeah, having seen his personality, I mean, whatever. He was probably just offended that all the people that Fritz banged didn't have gigantic calves.
It's funny, though, because when you talk about this kind of wish fulfillment idea, you have this character who is voiced by such a... Like, it's interesting. Crumb gets... One of the things he gets so angry about is Skip Hinnant doing the voice of Fritz the Cat. When I think it's kind of perfect. It's, like, just disingenuous enough to work, because the Fritz the Cat character is so kind of malleable within the world that he will just say whatever the fuck he wants to get a stir or a rise out of people. And, Crumb said, like, Ralph Bakshi should have done the voice, and I don't agree with that. Skip Hinnant is just the perfect amount of disingenuous.
Yeah, he knew the role on the page before it was even properly animated. I don't think that could be argued at all. And yeah, that works. But the more I think about the character, and I think what's so conflicting about it is that the movie never shows its hand politically. It never really tells you where it stands. I mean, I think it leans a little more left than right, but it's also very critical of Fritz kind of doing what people would now call, like, fake woke in order to score points with people. And I feel like it does such a good job of pissing off both sides that at the end of the day, it's hard for anybody to really come away super pleased with what they saw.
Well, that's because there's good people on both sides.
Yeah, I've heard that from some motherfucker.
From all angles, there's good people everywhere. Our Crumb apparently was also not a fan of the fact that they were condemning the far lefties as well.
Yeah,
so but I don't know. What do you want, Mr. Crumb? Jesus Christ, he was going to be disappointed either way.
Yeah,
let's just get it out of the way.
I think that's just him being too precious with his own character, because
of course,
is not his character as the character was created. It's
pretty much
it's
pretty far cry from the character of the comics.
Yeah,
right.
Speaking of the far cry, Josh, how does the sequel fare?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me about the Far Cry games. I've played all of them. All of them but Primal. I need to finish
all the Far Cry. The 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat, sequel.
I've sat through 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat twice. Once, probably back around 2000, late 2000s, whenever it was on Netflix, back when all they had was like catalog movies on streaming. And I was like, all right, I'll check it out. It's like 74 minutes. And it's a fascinating mess that's arguably like more offensive and cynical. And and the whole thing, like the title of the 9 Lives of Fritz the Cat, was very much a direct reply to the fact that, Crumb for some reason thought that killing the comic version of Fritz would kill the movie version of Fritz. And obviously that didn't work. Because, as you know, cats have 9 lives. And it's if you thought the first movie was kind of transient in its material, this one is literally just set up in 9 separate segments. And there's, it's built around Fritz with an angry wife now, and they have a kid, and he's a shitty deadbeat parent. And the whole movie is him just being yelled at by her, and he, sits there on the couch, and he takes all of her shit, and he starts ignoring her and thinking back on his past lives, as it were. So, it's considerably more like racially uncomfortable in the first one. There's a lot more people doing accents that they shouldn't be doing in this movie. I know that there's one pretty bad Indian voice late in the movie. There's a couple of Puerto Rican characters, I think, that were probably whitey. But it's just a collection of weird things that are completely unrelated. The first one is him having sex with somebody, and then the dad shows up and blows him away with a shotgun, and then he meets a drunken bum who thinks he's God. The third one is really, really fucking weird, though, because it is Fritz as a soldier in Nazi Germany. who gets caught fucking around with 2 German girls, and the commanding officer, I think it's like the officer's wife and daughter, so he runs away and ends up running into Hitler and psychoanalyzing Hitler somehow, and referencing the fact that he only has one ball, like the old song. And then it gets, like, weirdly homophobic, because Hitler drops soap and tries to have Fritz pick it up. Like, stuff like that is happening. And then
my God.
And then the U.S. Army, like, blows him up, or whatever. And then there's one story about him trying to sell a used condom to, to the liquor store owner he bought it from, and then, he ends up finding, like, he was banging the liquor store owner's wife, and, like, that's a whole, like, 5-minute segment. And then...
I will say that I am so glad I did not watch this movie.
Weird. And there are, like, The Fifth Life is just, like, a weird psychedelic montage with, like, really cool music, but, like, it's just him, like, partying while, like, there's a laser light show going on in the background. And then... there's a lot of stuff about cashing welfare checks. There's one where he is in NASA, and then, like, the ship explodes because he's having sex in space. And then...
oh, my God.
The next to last story is a really long, really weird one, where we may not have stated that in the first movie, all the black characters are portrayed as crows. And in this movie... this one story involves all of the crows being given the state of New Jersey, and basically expected to only be there, and they straight up just call it New Africa. And Fritz gets sent in by the president to stage an assassination or something, so that they can start another. It's really, really weird. And Fritz does not do anything wrong in that one, thankfully. He's just kind of wandering around with a letter.
Good somehow.
But, like, it's... oh, my God. I got so uncomfortable watching it this time, and I didn't remember it at all before. And then after that, I think he, like, thinks that he meets... oh, yeah, he meets the devil, who is also gay, of course, because why wouldn't he be? And then there's just...
classic Fritz the Cat.
Yeah, and then there's another, like, full-ass montage of the whole movie as the wife yells at him some more, and he just complains that his current life is somehow the worst one he's ever had. And that's the whole movie. There's some good music, I'll give it that. The music is slick, but it's... I don't understand it. I'm fascinated by it, but, like, nobody likes the movie, so I don't feel...
well, I'm curious, though, because... as far as I know, Bakshi had nothing to do with the sequel, so
neither did our Crumb.
Yeah, it was
how
just
was
the
animation style?
The animation is pretty much in line with the first one. It looks great.
Really?
And it sounds great. It just... it just exists to exist, and presumably to offend, but I don't think... say what you will about the first one, it felt like the work of someone who was trying to make a point, at least, and I'm not sure... that there was a point to this other than a little bit more infamy. And I wouldn't say that, I mean, like I said, it's like 74 minutes, so it's not going to kill anybody to watch it, but also, like, don't pay for it.
They're re-releasing it, by the way, this summer.
Yeah, I saw...
on Scorpion, I think?
Yeah, I saw that both of them are getting re-released, and if they're affordable, I might just get them just because, like, I'm a degenerate, but... I'll probably...
because you love cat titties.
I want to see the behind-the-scenes stuff, because the old MGM DVD had nothing. I want to see some extras on this, because that's probably the real story.
Well, are they going to allow this to be released, or will Amazon buying MGM put a stop to it?
Oh, right.
I know that there's a weird ruling about what MGM owns, or what the Amazon catalog of MGM is going to be through a certain time period. But I think this was something MGM acquired later, so it's probably part of the new acquisition. Actually, you know what? Because that's right, because the first one is streaming on Amazon already.
Oh,
so
okay.
But not the second one.
It is. Yeah,
you got to pay for the second one.
Man, I completely forgot, because now Amazon owns James Bond, right?
I mean, that's how it's looking.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, I would imagine with the new release so close to coming out, they'll be honoring any contracts they had because it's not going to lose them any money.
Right.
So
right. Makes sense.
They could only collect extras.
I would be curious to hear what would come along with the release of this, though, because a commentary would be good or something.
I'm curious. Like, is a historical piece. I think I'm still fascinated by it, regardless of its success as an actual movie.
Right. Is Scorpion, are they the ones that are insane? No, sorry, that's Code Red. Never mind.
It's sad that I knew who you were talking about before you even finished the sentence. Because the other day...
What else has Scorpion released? I've never even heard of Scorpion.
I've heard of Scorpion, but I don't think I own anything from them.
Yeah, I think they finally... Did they end up doing Raw Talent? Because Code Red had that one for a while. I know I have a couple Scorpion releases, but I can't remember what.
Interesting. Huh. Yeah, I only know about, like, Kino and all those other ones. I'd never heard of Scorpion before. Joe Don Baker in Joysticks.
Ooh, totally awesome video games. Yes. What a theme song. Dun, 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 oh, man, now it's stuck in my head.
And it will be forever.
What a movie. Joe Don at his sweatiest. No, actually, that might have been Wacko. Same director, whatever.
Yeah.
I think for me, though, with Fritz the Cat, Josh, I think that anyone watching it now in 2021 would probably be best suited to watch it from a historical angle.
Yeah, I think without that historical context, it absolutely does not work, which is why, like I said, when I saw it in high school, I was just like, well, that was weird. And that was kind of all I thought. But
I feel like this would have spoken to me more if I had watched it in high school than watching it as an adult, as an already cynical adult.
Maybe so. I just, like I said, for me, it was watching it in the middle of a political era where the only thing people talked about was 9/11 and Saddam Hussein. So the political content of the movie just had no relation to what I was living through at the time. And seeing that similarity now, it just made it feel way different. Because even though I'm not sure what point the movie was trying to make, I at least understood where it was coming from a little bit better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, the first time I watched this, I was probably drunk, but who knows?
That's probably how most people... At the very least, drunk.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't drink a lot when I was... Well, I don't think I drank a lot when I was in college. At least certain times, and especially going to see movies, I would mostly see them straight. But I do remember seeing a couple things drinking. I want to say Tommy. I don't want to say this, but I won't swear to it, because most of the time I was a college for the education, ladies and gentlemen. I'm there watching the Maltese Falcon and, In the Realm of the Senses and all this kind of stuff. I love the film screenings that they would have every weekend, where it's just like, thank you. Now I can see this movie that I've heard about forever. Now I can see Pink Flamingos on the big screen. This is great. Thank you.
What a dream.
Oh, yeah.
But what about Fritz the Cat on the big screen?
Yeah, that's how I saw it.
No, I know. I was just, but like that wasn't on your list of things. You were like, I can't wait to see Fritz the Cat on the big screen.
I was up for just about anything, and most of the time it paid off very well. Where it was just like, oh, let's go see this movie Alice by this guy Jan Svankmajer.
Oh, yeah. I made a promise to.
Hello and welcome to Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys. My name is Hunter. In this podcast, I'll be joined by a different guest each week to discuss a classic Western movie or TV show. I've been a fan of classic Westerns for as long as I can remember, and in recent years, they've become very nostalgic for me. I love the aesthetic, the tropes, and I love seeing different filmmakers' takes on them. At their best, they're incredibly entertaining, rewatchable, and some of my all-time favorite movies are Westerns. We'll mostly focus on Western movies made in Hollywood, but we'll also be covering spaghetti Westerns, and one thing I'm very excited to get into are Western TV shows. I've got some amazing guests coming on the show, film professors, historians, and podcasters. And Tumbleweeds and TV Cowboys is part of the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, and many guests on the show will be from other shows on the network. Thanks for listening.
A friend that whenever I get up to Austin next time, that I'm finally watching Alice with her, so I need to do that.
Oh, so good.
I love Svankmajer's work, but I've never taken the deep dive into all the good stuff.
That was one of the few times I went on a date in college.
Hey,
and surprise, surprise, she didn't want a second date after that movie.
Based on what I've heard, I mean, but if it is somebody who does want a second date after that, you got to keep her.
It's keep her. Yeah.
Is that the claymation Alice film?
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I've seen enough of the YouTube videos of it.
It's pretty
things
great.
out of context, more than likely. I mean, it's technically impressive. I don't have to watch the movie to tell you that, but I want to watch it to see the context of the bizarre shit I've seen out of context, which hopefully it makes sense in context, but probably not.
Probably not.
You just have to go with it. It's very surrealist animation.
But are there cat titties?
I don't think there are any cat titties in that movie.
Or aardvark penis, I guess is the other one. Is that what the character is at the beginning of this movie? I'm an aardvark, baby. We're one of a kind.
Oh, yeah.
Hard to find, baby. And then they're just sitting smoking grass in a bathroom while a bunch of barnyard animals are fucking in a bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
Boy.
Before the cops come and break it up.
Before the cops come. And then the cops just start having sex with the people, too.
Police brutality.
Oh, yeah.
Again, and things never change.
I'm going to break in and call them perverts. Let me call them perverts.
Make sure to say the word fuck. that actually got me.
Hey, Blue Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying?
Hashtag back the blue. Good people on both sides.
No.
On that note, Mr. White, skip it or watch it?
Skip it.
Wow. First skip it of the skip it, watch it, revitalizing era here, so it is worth it. Josh, skip it or watch it?
I mean, if my mindset sounds like it makes sense to you, watch it. But it's a watch for me, but I can't recommend it to most people. But if you have that curiosity, it might pay off.
Yeah, I'm going to say watch it only because I think there will be people out there who this does interest more than me, who might find it a little funnier than I do. And again, your mileage is going to vary in that respect. But for me, I'm with Mike. It's not my bag. It's just not my thing. I don't really understand what most of it's going for. But again, for what it is, it's pretty impressive.
But we also neglected to discuss what was probably the driving factor in a lot of its success for people, was more than likely the idea of altered states while watching the movie. I'd imagine that if there are any listeners who might be into certain substances, that it could enhance the viewing experience in a way that I'm not ready for.
Are you talking about grass?
Yeah, man, the grass.
We talk freely about grass on this podcast. It's legal in half of the states in this country.
No, I'm just thinking, like, the race riot scene would be terrifying on, like, hallucinogens.
Right.
Like, that would ruin
with
my
the pool
life.
Balls. Holy shit!
I couldn't even imagine. But I'm sure there are people that have done that, and I'm sure that they knew what they were getting into.
Yeah, I mean, you were mentioning, like, did you see it drunk or in an altered state? Like, part of it does feel like this is a funny movie to put on with all your drunk buddies and chortle it, boobies.
This was definitely background party material for ages.
Yeah.
And then
nothing
you put
wrong
on
with that.
Heavy metal afterward and have a meltdown at the zombie scene.
Exactly. So on that note, we'll take a break and we will play a preview for the next Ralph Bakshi film of this month.
Ready or not, here it comes. The makers of Fritz the Cat now bring you Heavy Traffic.
Maybelline, why can't you be true? Oh, Maybelline, why can't you be true?
It's the story of Michael, a 24-year-old pinball-playing virgin.
Mick Jagger, I'm not.
Angie, his Italian father. Ida, his Jewish mother.
I died the day I married a guy.
Okay, Ida, come on. This is it.
Sing it up, baby.
Sing it up, baby.
With this
And Carol, his black sweetheart.
Now listen here, boy. As long as Carol got this here good thing and this here left, she don't need anything else.
You'll meet Molly, Rosa, Snowflake, Shorty, Crazy Mo, and the Godfather. You'll meet hoods, hustlers, freaks, creeps, cops, crazies, weirdos, winos, hard hats, lowlifes, and God.
Hey, this is the voice of God. What's up?
It's animated, but it's not a cartoon. It's funny, but it's not a comedy. It's real. It's unreal. It's heavy. Heavy traffic.
So, they kind of already talked about it a little bit, but on the next episode, we are going to be talking about Ralph Bakshi's Heavy Traffic. I've never seen it. I haven't seen any of
I
these
don't remember
movies.
Heavy Traffic at all. I don't know if I've seen Heavy Traffic from start to finish. I remember it being as interesting to me as this seemed, but a little bit stronger on the as a content delivery method. I feel like it worked a little bit better from what I remember. But now I'm going to have to go back and revisit or fully visit it just to see how it feels.
It's a pinball movie, huh?
What? Oh, I'm in. I love pinball.
Yeah, it's a pinball movie, apparently.
See, I don't even remember that. I am a pinball fiend, so...
Me too.
Oh,
so
yes.
I'm actually kind of excited
that's
now.
Half the reason I got vaccinated, man. I missed the flippers.
I hear you. There's nowhere here to play. Well, there is, but I haven't been to them yet in a while.
3 hours,
in a year plus.
3 hours away up in Austin, there's a place... There are three...
Oh, I know. Called Pinballs.
Yeah, there are
with a
three
Z.
different pinballs locations, and they are like my mecca. So...
yeah.
The pinball district. Yeah, I remember that.
Mike, are you not a pinball fan?
It's right next to the hammock district. I like pinball, but it's like... I mean, I don't go out of my way to play it.
Sure.
I do enjoy going to arcades that have pinball machines, and I will play those probably even more than the arcade games.
Well,
the totally awesome video games.
If you ever somehow fall backwards into Texas, the pinball locations in Austin are worth the trip. Because they are full arcades, not just pinball, but
nice.
They've got the biggest selection of pinball pretty much anywhere, as well as just all the classics and some new stuff.
Yeah. Pinball's cool, man. I love pinball. I'm glad you like... you know who doesn't like pinball? That was state of New Jersey that had
I was just going to say, I remember some politicians that had big problems with it. Apparently, they thought it was like
it's a game of skill versus a game of luck.
And I love getting way off track. I love the stories of the guy that had to play it before a jury or whatever. And he was just like, every shot I made was pure luck. There's no way I should have been able to play that well. And I was like, thank you, sir, because due to your good pinball playing, I get to play pinball as a child.
Exactly. So until then, Josh, where can people find you if they're looking for you?
I don't have a firm home on the internet. The most I do is just goofing around on...
You're the Letterboxd.
Yeah, I log everything I watch on Letterboxd. Sometimes it's an in-depth review, sometimes it's a quip, sometimes it's a unearthing of deep trauma, but it's just under my name, Josh Stewart. You can spot it by the header of Roy Scheider and all that jazz. That's me with the purple hair. Other than that, I just use the Facebook. I occasionally use Twitter, but I'm not even gonna reference that. If you find the Letterboxd, you'll find the Twitter. But yeah, that's it right now. That and trying to get back into a projection booth of my own. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully, by my next appearance here, I will have something nice to report in regards to that.
What about you, Mr. White? What's going on at the projection booth this month?
This month is Sci-Fi June, so we are talking about all kinds of science fiction films. By the time this airs, we will have The Empire Strikes Back. I'm not sure if anybody's ever heard of that one.
Yeah, what's that? Yeah, it's very strange. It's hard to make a joke about you covering Star Wars when you're actually covering Star Wars. You know that?
Yep.
Thanks.
I'm not gonna say any names, but there's a pretty large released movie that came out very, very recently where I jokingly referenced the infamous twist from Empire Strikes Back, and then the movie used that actual twist. I'm not going to say any names, but it is a movie that Disney released. I'm just going to leave it at that.
Very true. It's very true.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I was so mad.
I thought that it was a grand situation. I really did not expect, because there was a 40-year gulf in between those characters. I was very surprised.
That's right. It's called logical storytelling. We just don't understand it.
Yeah.
So what else, other than Star Wars, Mike, what else are you covering?
Well, a few other things you probably haven't heard of. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I always get that wrong when I say second.
See, I always miss the first two, so
Monk apes, I mean. It's weird. It's like they released the third one. They never went back and released the first two.
Yeah, what happened to the other encounters?
I don't get it.
Maybe they weren't close.
What else?
I won't say anything.
Time Bandits. It feels like there's something that I'm missing. The Black Hole.
This is a very mainstream month for the projection booth.
Mainstream. It's, after doing Eternity in a Day and Cruciale of My Car, it's about time that we got the numbers up. I got I'm on a new network. They think I'm a big punk, releasing these art film things. People saying that I'm a pederast for covering cuties, so...
You're a lefty loon.
What's a pederast?
Yeah.
You don't know what a pederast is?
No, I'm just thinking Big Lebowski. Walter, what's a pederast?
Who the fuck did someone call you a pederast?
No, but people were objecting to me covering cuties. I just read God, what was it? I just saw some a-hole commented, and it was just like, next time you should talk about animal cruelty and Cannibal Holocaust. I'm like, no. I haven't seen Cannibal Holocaust. I don't really intend on starting anytime soon.
Yeah.
And also, who hasn't said something about it?
Yeah, what is there to say at this point?
Yeah, it's bad. We talked about it on our episode. It's bad. Move on.
I'm very pro animal abuse myself, but
that's the hot takes we're looking for. But I do like Cannibal Holocaust, and I bought the DVD that has a version of the movie without the animal stuff. Boom.
There you go.
I'm happy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But no, just complain about it on the internet.
Yeah.
What a pile of crap. Next time review Cannibal Holocaust to, quote, start a conversation, unquote, about animal cruelty.
Is that in response to you talking about cuties?
Yeah, that was from a user named Cunt Grinder.
Oh!
Are you serious?
Yes.
Fuck.
Yep.
The chick magnet handle Wampa 1.
Luckily
Josh,
I've got his email address too here, so I can write Mr. Cunt Grinder a nice email to thank him.
Oh, you motherfuckers are going to pay. You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
You know what I can do? I'll say, if you want to suggest a film, we do have a level on Patreon where you could do that.
Boy, he's got it. See, he's got it down pat.
There we go, man. Right. That's marketing.
Yeah, exactly. As for me, your host, you can find me on Twitter at Christmas Claus. That's where I am, and that's where I'll stay. cstachiw.com is my link tree. Patreon.com, since Mike mentioned that Projection Booth has a Patreon, we also have a Patreon. That is patreon.com/Kulturecast. You should also donate to Mike's. Mike does something a little different than me. He does early access to his episodes. I just do bonus episodes. So Mike is really providing some content for his listeners because they get to listen to that shit early. So check his Patreon out, check mine out. And as always, big thanks to Mike and Josh for joining me and sitting through Fritz the Cat.
And I don't have a Patreon, but I will take your money.
Just give the man
and
money.
then I'll just ask Mike to do an episode on something that I want him to talk about. Like,
there you go.
This time, let's see, Pootie Tang. Let's do an episode on Pootie Tang.
Yeah.
I've been working on a Pootie Tang.
Oh my lord, yes, I love that is one of the most fascinating movies I've ever seen.
Getting anyone to go on the record for an interview is pretty much impossible.
That was what I was afraid of. Because there's a story.
I do have some good off-the-record stories, but...
Oh my god, I would kill. There's, one day, 50 years from now, there's going to be an award-winning documentary made about the making of Pootie Tang.
And then hopefully we can see that alternate version that fucking Larry Kraszewski or whatever his name is posted. Like, hey, look what I found in my garage. Here's this VHS tape of the original cut of Pootie Tang. I was just like, you motherfucker.
Oh.
I've never seen Pootie Tang.
Man, it's something.
Really? It is something.
Yeah, so maybe I'll watch it. And as always, thanks to you dudes for joining me, and we'll catch you on the next episode.